Vengeance is for the Living, #1, and Michael Mouse. Floating World Comics is not fucking around this week. These are two of the most brutal comics you will ever read. And I mean that in the best way possible. Floating World Comics is like an indie publisher, I think out of the Northwest. And they've done some really cool books. These are two of my favorites, and they just came out this week. So right out of the gate, I'm just going to say, go out and buy Vengeance is for the Living #1. The next one comes out in June of this month, or of this year. So, and this is a one-shot, this Michael Mouse. So both of these are available this week, and like, they're fucking awesome. So Vengeance is for the Living is a revenge story. This mother, this is like the first page. This mother is buried alive next to her children who are dead. She digs herself out of the grave. Her throat is cut, like ripped out. She's unable to talk. And she digs her own two kids, very young children, who've been murdered by these criminals. And so she has to speak through letters, like writing out on this notepad. And man, it just goes really hard, really fast. So she, gets out of the hospital, immediately starts going after the people who did this to her. Doesn't tell the cops who did this, kidnapped her husband, killed her children, mortally wounded her. And man, so I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, there's just a lot of death and a hardcore revenge story that really delivers. If you know, like Ben Mara did plenty of cool comics that I'm drawing a blank on the names of, One Man War on Terror and stuff like that. This has a similar vibe to that in a really complimentary way. And let's mention the team here. So it's written by Keenan Marshall Keller, and the art is by Alex Delaney. Colors by KMK. Fucking awesome book. Michael Mouse is a spoof, a really, really dark spoof of, you can see the characters' names here. We got Michael Mouse, David Duck, Goonie, Donna. I like this little insignia here, this Don't Tell Walt. It's pretty funny. Kind of, crudely drawn, but apparently this was a thing on Instagram back in 2020 by Mitch Lohmeyer. And so he did a couple of pages of this on Instagram, and it blew up. And so he decided to make a whole story about it. This is a dark crime story that doesn't stop. It just escalates and escalates and gets about as dark as you can get. David Duck here is trying to better his life and quit drugs and live. He has kids and he's trying to get straight. He's been clean for a minute, it seems like, but his old pal Michael Mouse gives him a call and says he's got a hookup for him. So he leaves the house despite his wife's protest, and man, it escalates from there. There's a score that's going to happen. They're all going to get rich from this, and immediately everything goes wrong. There's death and double crosses, and it's about 60 pages, I think. There's like dog fighting and just really hardcore crime story. If you can like forget about the these cartoon characters, which you kind of forget about them immediately. These guys are just on the edges of society, and just they're abusing drugs, and it gets hardcore crime and trying to I loved it, man. It's a great book. Floating World Comics released both of these this week, and man, I'm blown away. Like, two of the most hardcore comics you can read. So if you think comics are soft these days, Floating World Comics says fuck you, buddy. Vengeance is for the Living, Michael Mouse. I can't recommend these enough.